CBC News has agreed to hide this man's identity to protect his family from reprisals in Cuba. He's a professional who worked in Alberta for a joint venture between Cuba's state mining company and the private Canadian company Sherritt International. On paper, he was paid close to $100,000 annual salary, but the pay slips don't tell the whole story.
As soon as you arrive, you realize that this is a naked abuse. You work like any Canadian here, but you only get a miserable salary.
Como cualquier canadiense aquí.
He says the former Cuban CEO of the Sherritt refinery in Fort Saskatchewan, Alberta, told him that Cuban workers had to wire transfer between 80 and 90% of their net pay to the Cuban government.
Uno lo compra en Dollarama.
We bought most of our food at Dollarama, which had the lowest prices, and for everything else, garage sales.
En verano, en los garaceles.
Some turned to food banks, he said. The confiscation of wages is normal for Cubans working abroad, says this researcher.
These people are not used to thinking, I have the right to take a vacation. I have the right to take my family to the movies. No, they're thinking survival.
But Sherritt's Cuban workers knew they were being exploited.
100% of the Cubans are unhappy about this, but it's not something you would talk about lightly or discuss in public, because the embassy is going to find out.
We're not supposed to form relationships with the Canadians we work with 8 hours a day.
En las 8 horas de trabajo.
You have an intermediary that is confiscating the salary, hiring you out to another bidder.
Werlaw says the Cuban government is engaged in human trafficking.
The Cuban supervisor has the prerogative to send any member back at any point and to discipline them.
Sherritt International, the Canadian half of the joint venture, said it had no knowledge of any wage confiscation scheme. The Cuban workers said Sherritt paid them their wages in full. It was their Cuban supervisors who then forced them to hand over most of the money. The Cuban government didn't respond to CBC's questions. The Canadian government said it has improved its systems generally for dealing with such abuses, but didn't respond to questions about whether it would intervene in this Cuban joint venture. Evan Dyer, CBC News, Ottawa.